Hey there, Brett here with Quarter Properties, your Myrtle Beach area real estate expert. And today I wanted to hop on here and chat with you about March and our March numbers. It's now the first week of April, so we've got some good information in here. Definitely want to stick around to the end. I've got a really interesting stat here for you at the end. But, you know, a lot of people are wondering what the market's doing. There's a lot going on. We've got what's going on in Iran. We've got rising interest rates, so is the market crashing? So there's a lot of uncertainty out there. And so I'm fielding a lot of questions about kind of what direction the market is headed. So let's take a look at our closings. So this past month in March, we had 897 single family homes close out. Last year in the same month, we had 941. So that is a decrease of 4.7%. So that is a sizable drop in closings for the month of March. Now, when we look at condos and townhomes, we have 447 close out, and that was up 9.6%. So we kind of had a surge in closings for condos, which is needed. We've got a lot of inventory in that space. So we need some of that inventory to get sucked up. Now, let's look at price. So our price is going up or down. When we look at single family homes, the average home closed for $360,000. Last year it was $355,000 in March. So it was up just over 1%. So a little bit of appreciation there in home price. Now, what about condos? The average price for the condos was $225,000. Last year was $226,000. So kind of holding steady there, that price point. It was around $250,000 for a good while. It's come down to around $225,000, and it's kind of holding right around there. All right. Now, what about how many houses or condos went under contract in March? Okay. So obviously it was definitely a much slower second half of January, February, definitely less activity from a single family home standpoint in those months. I personally think it had to do with all the cold weather up north, a lot of late snow, a lot of people not getting their houses on the market till later, a little bit later than maybe the last year. So when we look at PENS, single family homes, we had over 1,200 single family homes go under contract, and that was up 14.5%. And to be honest with you, I think most of that was in the last 2 weeks of March. So it was a very, very, very active finishing to the month. When you look at condos and townhomes, we had 532 go under contract. That was up 12%. So both of those segments in March, very, very, very active with a lot more properties going under contract. So even though the season got started off much later, it looks like it has picked up even with all the uncertainty that's going on out there. Now, what about new listings? How confident are sellers feeling bringing their homes to market? Well, we had 1,550 new single-family home listings. That's up 5.8% from previous year, okay? So we're seeing a lot of sellers feel confident bringing their homes to market. So when we look at condos and townhomes, we had 998. That's actually up 8.4%. Now, we don't need that. We got plenty of condo inventory. We don't need more coming to market, but that's what we've got, okay? 8.4%. So is it a buyer or seller's market? Well, when you look at single family homes, we're at 3.9 months of supply. Okay. A healthy market is considered to be 4 to 6 months of supply. So we're kind of teetering on a seller's market still for single family homes. All right. When we look at condos and townhomes, we're now at 8 months of supply. And that has gone up 3 months in a row. Okay. So even though we're seeing more condos go under contract and close, we're still seeing more and more inventory being added to the market. So it's still definitely a buyer's market for condos in our Myrtle Beach area market. All right. Now, this statistic I found really, really interesting. New construction. Okay. So those that have been into our area and looking at homes online, there's been a lot of new construction going on over the last 5 to 6 years. Okay. When we look at that supply, it's actually now at 3 months of supply, okay? So it is definitely way leaning towards a seller's market for our new construction in the Horry County area. Okay. When we look at, kind of a high watermark over the last few years, in December of 2022, they were up to over 5 months of inventory. All right. So they basically, they closed out a lot of inventory, got a lot of inventory off their books. I think personally that there's just signs that maybe they have slowed down some of their starts compared to previous years, as things have been more normal with the kind of transition of folks moving from the north to our area. So we're down to 3 months of supply there. And to be honest with you, I've seen a lot of it come on the market in what we call a to be built status. And a lot of your big builders, D.R. Horton, Lennar, they would not typically put to be built homes on the market. That would kind of be what we call their shadow inventory. So if you saw a home listed, you'd go there. You may not like the lot, but they'd say, hey, we also have this lot you can build on. Well, we're starting to see them put some of that inventory on the books out there for sale, which tells me they've got more demand than what they have inventory for, as we're looking out over the next, 6 to 9 months. So I found that statistic really, really interesting. If you're looking for new construction, looking like it's going to be a bit more of a seller's market as we look over the next 6 to 9 months. So, all right, if you found this information helpful, if you liked it, please click the like button. If you want to keep up with more interesting tips on real estate and or the Myrtle Beach area in general, subscribe so you can keep up with that info. If you're thinking about buying or selling in our area, you've got my phone number right there, my email address in the description. I got a link there to keep up with or to shop for new homes. By far the easiest way to shop Myrtle Beach area listings right there. You got a link for that, and a link if you want to keep up with the value of your home, estimated value of your home if you're thinking about maybe selling over the next year or so. There's a link there for that. So, all right, thank you so much, and we'll be talking to you soon.